it makes it easier for people to remember if it's Katherine. But people call me both.
Perfect. Okay, it's thinking, and we are live here on A Mighty Blaze. Welcome to our Mighty Mystery interview. I'm your host, Sara DiVello, and I'm thrilled to be here today with Katherine St. author of The Lion's Den, as you can see prominently displayed there. Katherine, welcome. Tell us about your book.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My book is a thrilling romp through the Mediterranean on a yacht with some very bad billionaires.
Ooh. Well, I'm already intrigued by all of that. Who wouldn't be? But Katherine, I have to share some of the amazing praise that your book has earned. Adriana Trigiani says, sex, intrigue, jealousy, betrayal, secrets, batten down the book clubs. Katherine St. is on deck. This dazzling novel is chock full of delicious characters who flaunt their sins and peccadillos like their latest Birkin bag. Come aboard for a fabulous read, pure escape, beautifully written, loved it. That is an absolutely rave review. Katherine Stockett, #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Help, says Katherine St. thrilling debut gripped me from the first page, a breakthrough romp through the glamorous and decadent world of billionaires on the Riviera. This riveting tale of betrayal and friendship is sure to be the breakout hit of the summer. Irresistibly wicked, I couldn't put it down. The New York Times says that St. wraps a fun yarn around a sinister mystery. Toss in a dysfunctional family dynamic and you're off to the regatta. Oh my gosh, Marie Claire says a delicious read, brilliant. Kirkus raves that your sizzling debut sparkles with yacht and fashion porn. And smart, decent Belle is easy to root for as the paddock reaches its peak. Blingy, swingy fun, plus a well-crafted, socially conscious suspense plot anchors away. Crime reads, also raves. Book list says once the story gets going, clever twists abound. Fans of Leanne Moriarty and Jessica Knoll will devour the story of beautiful people with horrible secrets. Oh my God, a title to watch, says Library Journal. Publishers Weekly also raving, my God, woman, you have gotten all of the praise. This is fantastic. Publishers Weekly says St. dishes up a diverting, poolside, ready page turner. This is fantastic. Tell us about the process of writing this book.
This is my first book. Yay. And I call it the nap time novel jokingly because I wrote it while my kids were napping. I have two little girls who are like 1.5 years apart, and when they were both very young, I decided to take a year off from working as a producer and write, because I'd always wanted to write a novel, but I just had never had the time. It does take a lot of time. And so I would write in the morning before they woke up, and I would write at nap time when they were napping. They took very long naps, and then I would write again in the evening after they went to bed. And that's how I wrote that first draft. And then after I paired up with my agent, she and I wrote together. She helped me edit. She's an editorial agent, so she helped me edit the manuscript to get it ready to send out to publishers. And then once I got a publisher, we edited it again. So there's, many rounds of editing that went into it over a period of about probably 2 years, once it was all said and done.
So start to finish 2 years from all of the rounds of revisions.
Yes, it's funny. I was talking to my agent earlier today, and we were trying to figure out the timeline. We were like, "Wait, when did we get together? Like, so much has happened, that it's difficult to remember, because with all the back and forth of the different drafts and all that stuff, it's hard to actually go, well, because when the editor has it or when my agent has it, then there's a month or two will go by where I'm not actually writing it. And then it'll come back, and then you spend a heavy 3 months, all in editing. So it's a process. It's a process.
It is a process. We have a comment from the audience. Maureen Roberts, welcome. She says, hello from the Baltimore County Public Library. I loved, in capitals, this book. Maureen, welcome, and thank you for that wonderful comment. We love libraries. Libraries are so wonderful. Thank you for logging on, and thank you for your wonderful work at the Baltimore County Public Library. I'm so happy to hear that she loved the book as well. So what would you say was the hardest part about writing this book?
I would definitely say the hardest part about writing the book was weaving the flashbacks through the narrative. So the book takes place in the present day. You have a gold digger taking her friends on a trip aboard her sugar daddy's yacht.
Ooh.
And then in the past, you have the relationship between the gold digger and our heroine, Belle, whose eyes the story is told through. You have snippets of their relationship starting when they were 16 and then leading up to the time right before they go on the boat. And you see their relationship kind of disintegrate over that
Mm.
time. So that was the most difficult thing because you want the arc of the book to all hold together. And so when you're jumping back and forth in time, you have to make sure that where your character is lines up with where they are in the flashback. And then on top of that, you don't want to give anything away in the present day about the flashback and in the flashback about the present day. So they have to kind of feed each other so that when the reader is ready for the information that the flashback is going to provide, that's when that flashback goes in there. So that was definitely the most difficult part, was walking that tightrope and weaving those two together.
That sounds really hard because I know that a commonly given bit of advice is don't do flashbacks. And I think the reason that is because they're hard to do well. Clearly, you have excelled and thrived and conquered that. But just from your description, it sounds very hard for that very reason. So what was sort of your secret to doing it well? Did you plot it vigorously? Were you, or meticulously? How did you do it and do it well?
Well, with this particular book, I was not as plotty as I should have been because it was my first book and I didn't know as well what I was doing going in. So there was a lot more changing going on in this book. In my second book now, and I would advise to anyone who is writing a book, start with note cards, and I write through my plot, and it may change over the course of the time that I'm writing the book, but I make sure that I note card the entire thing, chapter by chapter, or it can be scene by scene if you have, longer chapters. And then you lay it all out, and because they're note cards, you can move them if you need to move them. And that's something that I didn't do until about like halfway through The Lion's Den, and it would have been so much easier if I had started with that. And now it's something that I absolutely do. First thing I do when I'm writing a book is I buy a pack of note cards, and it definitely helps with keeping up with where you are.
Ooh, that's such a good tip. And thank you for sharing. It's good to know that you do it the old-fashioned way, literally moving those cards around.
Yeah, I do. Once I have them into a place where I think that they're going to stay, I type it up. And then it's like, in a Word doc where I'm moving chunks.
Yeah.
But I like the visual of having them all laid out on the coffee table and being able to say, okay, this could actually go here.
Yeah, exactly. I am also an old-fashioned girl, so I like note cards, and I like those giant post-its that they sort of use in the corporate world. And
Yeah.
I have them taped to my office walls. But I've also segued into using Scrivener, which my best friend Amy, who's also a writer, was begging me for 3 years to do it, and I would not do it. But the cool thing is that you can look at it all on postcards, and you can move them around electronically.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to try that.
Oh,
That means I don't have to like spread out my postcards every day.
right, exactly. And then kids or dogs or the
Yes.
wind, or my air conditioning just came on, just startled me. I was like, woo. It
Well, air
doesn't blow
conditioning could blow your cards too, and that could be a problem. I number my cards when I put them
Oh,
down so that I know where they go.
that's good. Yeah, exactly. We have a question from the audience. Andrea would like to know, which character was the most fun for you to write?
I think that Summer was the most fun to write. Summer is our villain. She's our gold digger. And it was very important for me for her not to be a flat character. I wanted her to be well-rounded. And I think that you see through the flashbacks why she and Belle are friends, even though in the present day, she's less than a good friend to Belle. So it was important to me, though, that you understand why she is the way that she is. And Belle has some sympathy for her. And I hope that at first, at least, the reader has a little bit of sympathy for her, knowing what she comes from before she kind of takes a turn towards, full-fledged villainy.
Full-fledged villainy is my new favorite term. I love that answer and that question. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Katherine. Maureen would like to know, have you ever been on a luxury yacht like the one in the book? Ooh, good question. Let's hear about the yacht angle.
Yes, I have been on a luxury yacht. Unfortunately, no one was murdered. So that's a good thing about it. No, I took a trip to the Riviera many years ago, and I was super interested by the world that I saw there. And this world of the super rich that very few people ever see up close. We see it on Instagram or we see it in movies, but seeing that up close was fascinating. And I thought this would be an amazing place to set a book. So, for years, the idea was kind of percolating in my mind, who would these characters be and what would happen, and using the yacht as a device because it's at sea. So you're away from Wi-Fi, your phone's not working, you're kind of isolated. It's its own little island. So it's a really great place to set a thriller.
And did you know when you were on the yacht, did the wheels and did the gears in your head start turning and you were taking plot notes, or was it only years later upon reflection?
Plot came much later. It was just, it was noticing this would be a cool setting for a book. At that time, plot was something that I had to come up with. For me, setting is a big part of the characters in my book. Setting is definitely a character, I think, in The Lion's Den. And then creating the best story and knowing that, because of the setting, I wanted to say something about money and what it does to people. And then creating, okay, how do I tell that story? How do I make that compelling and interesting and put, create people that go in this world and give them problems that have to do with money. So it was definitely.
Oh no, she's freezing. She'll be back. These are the joys of internet. Okay, she's back. Oh, maybe I'm frozen.
Definitely a matter of recognizing frozen. Can you hear me as well? Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay, it was weird because I could see myself, but you were frozen. Now we're both back. Yay! Okay. This is the joys of the pandemic. Everyone's using the internet.
So much fun.
So much fun. We have another question. Celia would like to know, can you recall how your plot surprises came to you? Was it spontaneous, or were you thinking about what will the audience never see coming? Good question, Celia.
First of all, hi, Mom. So my mother.
You just outed her. We just thought this Celia, mysterious Celia was asking really clever. Celia Wood was asking really clever questions.
My mom has fantastic questions because she's a former English teacher. So she has wonderful questions.
You have to know, Celia, did you give this book an A or an A+?
I'm afraid to be graded by my mother still. No, the plot twists were something that were a work in progress because I knew the story that I wanted to tell, and then figuring out where to put the plot twists and how much to reveal at what point. Definitely a big part of kind of the second phase of editing. A lot of the plot twists came in that second phase of editing, because the first draft for me is really just, I heard someone say this, and so I'm quoting someone, I can't remember who, but some famous author said this, and I totally believe it, which is the first draft, I am scooping sand into a sandbox, knowing that later I will make castles. And so with the first draft, I just kind of get it down, and I get my characters, and I kind of get the shape of the story. And then I go back in with the second draft, and I really start, that's when things start coming together and connecting. So I don't want to say anything to give away the plot twists, but I will say that most of the plot twists came in that second round of editing.
Oh, that's so interesting. So wait, did your first round not have any of the plot twists, or they just had them in places that they didn't end up being in ultimately?
It was a matter more of seeing what I had with this book. With subsequent books, like I said, I've been more organized, so I've known better going in where those are going to be. But with this one, I just had a story to tell, and it just kind of poured out of me. And then it was like, oh, what if I could make a connection between these two characters, that type of thing. So like I had the characters flushed out, and then it's like, let me, like, this would be interesting. What if we take this and that? And I'm, once again, I'm being really vague as trying to try not to give anything away.
Yeah.
But what if there were a connection there? And then I'd go back and work through it, and I'd be like, well, if I changed this flashback, that would make this work. And then you have this, oh my gosh moment of, wow, that really does work. And then because that one thing works, it would make something else work. I also credit my agent has the patience to sit on the phone with me for like 3-4 hours. I'm not kidding. And we will just spitball and throw out ideas. And sometimes like,
oh no, we're freezing again. Okay, this is the world of the pandemic. That's okay, she'll be back. We'll both be back. Okay, I can see that
the ideas are absolutely terrible. Oh, you've frozen again. I can hear you though. Saying that my internet connection is unstable, which makes no sense because I'm supposed to have the best internet ever. I'm paying for it, but it amazingly seems to drop out at exactly the wrong moment.
That's totally okay. This has never happened to me before, except in the pandemic. I actually got an Ethernet cable, but I'm not even hooked up to that. I just have the Verizon Fios or whatever, but it still happens to me. Oh, Celia says she gives you an A+++, triple plus.
Oh, Mom, thank you.
Celia, the English teacher, that is earned based on what I'm hearing from the reviews. We have another question from the audience. Andrea would like to know, did you know how the book would end when you started writing it? Good question, Andrea.
I knew how the way the book ended changed. And ooh, I obviously can't talk about that.
Okay.
The way that it ended changed. The book, there's an A story and a B story. The A story being the present day on the yacht. The B story being the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And that was what I talked about earlier about weaving those two together. Mm-hmm. As I began, at first it was a lot more A story heavy. So it was a lot more of the present day on the yacht stuff. That stuff didn't change all that much until the ending, because the ending really, all of those flashbacks feed into the ending. So that ending came out of the flashbacks that I manipulated to get all of those twists and turns. And that all came together to create that ending. But the ending did change over the editing process.
Ooh, now we all have to read the ending, and then we have to have Katherine back so that we can hear the first ending.
I can talk about it with book clubs who've read the book.
Okay, perfect. This is so good to know. Another question here. Maureen would like to know, will we be seeing Belle or any of the other characters again? If not, what are you working on now?
I don't know whether you'll be seeing them again. Currently, no. But that could change. I have been getting a lot of people asking that question. One of the complaints that I get is the way that the book, there's no epilogue after the book. So we'll see. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. My next book is called The Siren, and it'll be out spring, summer of next year. Okay. And then it takes place in the Caribbean on an island where a film is being shot. It's told from 3 different points of view. It deals with fame in the same way that the Lion's Den deals with money. And there are secrets, and there is murder, and there is, characters with backstories that you will find out over the course of the book. So that's going to be really fun. And I'm working on my 3rd book right now, which is about a cult in the Mexican jungle.
Ooh, okay. So the second one, I'm seeing an oceanic theme again, and then also wrestling with things that people aspire to: money, fame, and sort of the dissolution of of how great those things are or are not. And then from the ocean to the jungle, fabulous. I think we cannot wait to read these books. Charisse says, so great to hear about these details. I love details too. Thanks, Charisse. I want to get down in there, get in those details. Maureen says she's so curious now. The siren sounds great. I think Maureen is speaking on behalf of all of us. Absolutely. Tell us about the title. Tell us about the cover. Did the title arrive in a flash of genius? Did you sit up at 3 a.m. and say, yes? Or was it number 101 and there's some on the cutting room floor that you kind of miss?
The Lion's Den was always the Lion's Den. It was my working title from the very beginning.
Wow.
And, there's a huge theme of lions throughout the book. It's the name of the boat, but it also is the proverbial lion's den in the Bible. And it references, we all know what that means. And Belle definitely, by virtue of going onto this yacht, is going into the lion's den. And then with the themes of lions and the very, very wealthy people behaving as though they believe they are lions among men. And, the book definitely deals with that, and that as a problem in our society, that we have these super wealthy people who treat the rest of the people on the earth like they don't matter, and eating up all of the resources and leaving scraps for everyone else. And that's definitely a big theme in the book. Now, I will say though that we had, I went through, my publisher at first thought that the title might be a little too male sounding for the book. And so we went through about 400 other titles. I'm not.
Oh my God.
I mean, we went through so many titles, and we thankfully came back to the Lion's Den at the end of the day. So I can say with utmost authority that this is the right title for this book.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now we need to know at least a few of the ones who didn't make it.
Okay, I'll tell you the one that I hated the most.
Tell us.
Was Filthy Rich Girl.
Filthy Rich Girl. Oh my gosh. Okay.
It sounds a lot like the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy.
Right. By Kevin Kwan. Okay, I think Kat's internet has frozen. We'll know she'll be back in just a minute. Guys, keep the questions coming. This is your time to ask Katherine anything you want. So about writing, editing, the process, the book. Keep the questions coming, and I will just keep passing them to her. This is your time to chat with this lovely, luminous, brilliant.
There are elements of that whole rich world.
Yeah. Okay, great. Perfect. Oh, are you back? Wait, are you back?
Back.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yay. Okay, so people are still thinking of questions. I just want to say I have positive associations with lions because I'm a Leo. Leo is the sign of the lion. So I love lions.
Well, lions, as the king of the jungle, lions are animals, and animals are only preserving their own instincts. They don't have any, animals don't have morality. That's not something they struggle with. They eat a gazelle because they're hungry.
Right.
But this book deals with humans who believe themselves to be lions.
Yes.
And they're no more than predators.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're dealing with a lot of issues right now about entitlement and fairness and equity and justice. And so
absolutely.
It sounds like, and why this book? Why now? Why did you want to write a book about money? Why now?
I've always been really fascinated with money and what it does to people. I live in Los Angeles, and in my 20s, I was an actress and waitress, much like Belle. So a lot of my experience went into her experiences, like in her flashbacks. And I was around money, and I would see the way that it changed people when a friend who you're working with at a bar all of a sudden gets a hit TV show, and they go from being broke to being rich and famous, or someone starts dating some, tech billionaire or whatever. And you see how that affects people. And I've always found that super interesting. And also how people act around money. Some people kind of shrink away from it and are afraid of it. And other people become more, hey, look at me, I want to be a part of this world, so I've always found its effect on people very interesting. And so that was why I thought it would be interesting to have a number of different girls on the boat, and they're all kind of archetypes, and to see how it affects each different girl on the boat. You have Summer and Belle, obviously the two main characters, but then there's a handful of other girls one of which is very shy and very quiet and kind of almost afraid to be around money. Another is kind of an opportunist, and she sees this as her entree into this world and wants to be a big part of that world. So yeah, I just found it very, I find money and what it does to people and what people will do for money very interesting, and where people draw that line of what they find morally reprehensible and what they find okay and why.
Ooh, this is such a fascinating conversation. And you're bringing up such interesting and deep issues. So thank you for that. And it sounds like in The Siren, you dealt similarly with the concept of fame, something else that culturally we put on a pedestal and that changes people.
Right. And the positive and negative effects of that, a lot of times with fame, people who are not famous see it as something that's like so great and so fun, but then it can affect someone, especially someone who's maybe going through something personally, and who has cameras pointed at them all of the time. It can drive them to, we've seen people shave their heads or,
Have an umbrella. Yeah.
it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that also spawned from your days as an actress and waitress in LA?
Yes, definitely. And, and from being around that world, and also seeing how it affects people and how people act in relation to it.
Yeah, totally. This is so interesting. Yeah, this is so interesting. So you were an actress slash waitress, then a producer, now a novelist.
Yes.
And it sounds like every step of that has informed and enriched the perspective and the texture that you have and the layers that you've poured onto the page.
Yes, I think that writing is one of the few careers where you can say that all of those different jobs that I've had are actually a qualification.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting. I never thought I would be a mystery writer. I'm writing my first mystery right now. And when I
Congratulations.
look Thank you. When I look back, I realize that every step of the way has armed me and prepared me for this next stage. And I think that that pollination of the previous flowers it makes you able to write the story in a deeper and more enriched way than if you didn't have that experience in all of those different worlds and arenas and with those different people.
Absolutely. And I definitely pick up inspiration absolutely everywhere, I mean, obviously from people that you meet, from books and movies, even from, Frozen, the movie, which I've had to watch about 500 times because I have to, the idea to have it, once again, I'm going to try not to give anything too much away here, but a little bit of a love triangle with Belle came while watching Frozen. You have Kristoff and what's the other guy, the first guy that she gets together with, that Anna gets together
Never
with.
seen Frozen.
Anyway, ideas can come from anywhere is my point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So in addition to gaining all of this experience, what would you say, what is some writing wisdom that you would like to share? Either advice that you got that you were like, that is trash, or I wish, that you would like to dispel the myth that is good advice, or some really good advice that you either were given or you've learned along this hard-earned path that you feel like you'd love to share with, we have a lot of writers in the audience. Oh, I see Lynn Constantine's here. We interviewed her a couple weeks ago on Reading with Robin. So we've got a lot of writers in the audience. What would you like to share?
I say just do it, the Nike slogan. I think that a lot of people let things get in the way of their writing, and I did for a long time, because you think you don't have enough time, or you think that your story's not good enough, or you read the first couple of pages that you wrote and they're crap. I can't tell you how many times I've read the first couple of pages that I've written and I think they're crap. Every time I write a first draft, I think it's crap. And then you go back in and you do the work and you make it good. So I think that you just have to do it. Just sit down, even if you only have, 30 minutes, just sit down and start writing, because even if you're only writing, 200 words a day or something like that, it will build. And as you start to see the story taking shape, you will be inspired to write more and to keep doing it. I definitely like, I get addicted when I'm writing, and I sit down to work, and I don't want to be messed with.
Mm.
I especially like during this pandemic, my husband and I have been both working full time from home with 2 children, and I like am fighting for my writing time. I will get up at the crack of dawn so that I can get my words in before there's anybody else running around in the house. And I'm definitely a happier person when I'm getting my writing in. If I'm not getting my writing in, I'm like, it's all happening in my head. So I can't really pay attention to anything that's going on because I need to write these things down that are in my head. I'm kind of crazy that way. So coming back to your question, I would say just start. There's something that they say, in screenwriting that I think also applies to novel writing, that they call about destroying the power of the white. And that's just writing the first words, because it can be so intimidating just starting. But
Yes.
once you destroy that, even if it's not something that you're going to keep, because I mean, let's all be honest, we're probably going to rewrite the beginnings of our books the most of anything, right? Because you really want to hook readers with that beginning. So don't worry too much about it. Just get in there and start writing it.
I love that. I love that. We have a couple of questions from the audience I want to make sure we get to. Charisse would like to know, did your story evolve as you were writing, or did you have the entire plot in your mind before you started? Ooh, good question. I need to know the answer to that as well.
This one, and I think all of them actually evolve as I'm writing. I have an idea of where I'm going and what I want to say, but as the characters come to life, they start to speak to you, and you start to understand them and where they need to go, and even where they've come from. So I may have written, half a book. This actually has happened to me last night. Some of my best ideas come to me when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Yes.
I have to get up and I'll type them into my phone so that I remember them in the morning.
Yes.
But the book that I'm working on right now, I'm at like 78,000 words or something, which is getting towards the end. And I had something come to me last night that's a chapter that I need to write, that's going to go at probably the 25% mark, so like the characters spoke to me and they said that I needed to put this in, that this is something that had happened to them that was important to the story. So while in this one I had fully note carded, but things will come to you that you're like, actually, this really helps explain this other thing that I was having trouble explaining, so both is the answer.
I love that. I love that answer.
I think you always have to be open to inspiration,
Ooh, I feel like that's a quotable. That's a tweetable. I'm going to tweet that when I post about this interview later. Stay tuned, everybody. It's coming. No, thank you for saying that, because I love that, and it's so true. And Charisse, thank you for that thoughtful question. Oh, she would like to know, follow-up question, does the story evolve on a daily basis? And then I'm going to get to you, Celia.
The story, it does evolve on a daily basis. I'm constantly thinking about it as I'm walking around my neighborhood with my headphones on. Sometimes there's no music in the headphones. I just want people to know they can't talk to me because I'm thinking. And I have things called.
Oh no, she's frozen. That's okay. She'll be back. We know she'll be back. I think we should get Katherine
come to me constantly.
Katherine, I think we should get you.
Let me know when I'm unfrozen.
Okay, I think we should get you a hat that says "Don't talk to me, I'm thinking." That
would be a really, I may have to have that made. I've been wanting a white baseball cap so that to reflect the sun's rays,
yes.
So I don't get hot. And that'd be a perfect thing to have on it. Don't talk to me, I'm thinking.
Don't talk to me, I'm thinking. Exactly. I have my SPF 50 sun hat because Mama's not getting any younger, and I got to keep I got to keep the SPF off me. I got to keep the UVA and UVB rays off of me. Celia would like to know, tell us about the Scrivener software note cards for plotting one's novel. Do you locate it online, Celia? Yes. So it sounds like I work for Scrivener, but I don't. I am not making any coin off of this. I just love the software. And again, my best friend Amy told me about it. So it is sold by literatureandlattes.com. It is the best $39.99 you will ever spend. That is $39, not $390. It's literally the best $40 you will spend. And it has changed my life. There's a 2.5-hour training on YouTube that will teach you the incredible capabilities of this program, 90% of which you will never use because it's too fancy. But it is absolutely amazing. And your finger gets tired from scrolling through 400 pages on Microsoft Word, but not in Scrivener, because you can break it down along the side by chapter, by scene, by however you would like to do. And then you can just click into those chapters. You can pick them up and move them. You can drag them around. You can look at it as note cards, or you can look at it as a Microsoft Word doc. It transports into Microsoft Word, PDF. You can format it as an ebook. It is literally idiot proof, because Mama's not good at tech and I can do it. So again, I'm not making a penny off of this, but I am proud to say, I'm happy to promote it because it's well done. And I love to share tools that help me. So literature
should be paying you to promote it because I'm ready to buy it.
Oh my God, I literally, and you will have questions. You can email me, but it is so easy and it's so great. And I'm like, I can't believe I ever scrolled through Microsoft Word for 400 pages.
Yeah, I'll use the search tool, and I'm trying to remember, like, okay, there's a word that I hadn't used in the rest of the manuscript that might be near what I'm trying to search for.
Yeah. Exact Control F, because you cannot find it in the 400 page, and you're scrolling, your poor little finger is getting sprained.
Absolutely.
It needs a little brace. Not in Scrivener, you just click around, and I like to look at the note card vision, and sometimes I like to go, and also you can save all your research. You can save web pages, so you can be like, oh, I want to go to the web page that talks about the yachts or Mykonos or whatever, and then you just save the web page in the Scrivener, so you don't have to like remember it. It's so
that's huge. That's really huge, because I mean, like as a writer, all the research that you do, I spend so much time on the internet and like in Google Maps, like walking around. I was walking around the streets of San Tropez and Google Maps, like pressing that little arrow, what's around this bend, I was considering actually because I normally like to go to the places that I'm writing about to do research, but this year my trip to the jungle got canceled due to our friend COVID. And so I've been just online. I mean, I have been to the jungle before in my life, but it has been a while. And so I'm like listening to night sounds of the jungle while I'm writing. I'm like, I was thinking about getting one of those VR headsets, because where you can like go places for writing, get an Oculus, and yeah.
This is you hacking your way through the jungle that you are DR.
No, it's go virtually.
It's so true. And I am very familiar with that little arrow from Google Maps, and then you accidentally push it too much and it zooms up, or you zoom halfway down the block. You're like, no,
where am I?
You have to type the address in again. And I am looking up, one of my characters is from Northern Florida. And I literally the other day was YouTubing night sounds, Florida.
Yes, yes, because you want to really take the reader there. You really do. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. So I just want to turn it over to the audience. Do you have any last questions for the amazing Katherine St. John? You just type them in. We're wrapping up, but I want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered. So just put them right there in the comment box and I will get to you. Be sure to follow her. She is the Kat St. John on Twitter and Instagram. And through our very special partnership with bookshop.org, which supports independent bookstores, you can buy Katherine's book, The Lion's Den, today and always through bookshop.org, and that supports independent bookstores, independently owned bookshops, and they need our love and they need our dollars right now. So get this fabulous book, support indies, do the right thing, and it supports your local indies. So that's wonderful. Katherine, is there anything that you wish that I had asked you and I have omitted? Is there anything that you'd like to tell us?
I think we've pretty much covered it. What I would like to tell you is buy the book.
Yay! We will be buying that book. All of us, we will be buying that book. We can't wait. Thank you so much for coming by A Mighty Blaze. Thank you for your time today with sharing your book on A Mighty Blaze, Mighty Mystery with me, Sara DiVello. It has been such a wonderful time chatting with you, and I cannot wait to read The Lion's Den. Your reviews are amazing, and it's been such a great time, so thank you so much.
It's been wonderful. Great to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. All right, everybody, we'll see you next time on A Mighty Blaze, Mighty Mysteries.